Welcome back to the Daughters of the Moon podcast. We're so grateful that you can join us again.
Yes, we certainly are.
And we're
Thank you. I'm so glad.
yeah, and we're super excited. We have Alla back with us today. She was on some previous episodes with us. She was on episode 77, July 20th, 2023. So you want to check that out because we talked about her first book, Turning the Pages. And then she was also on our episode on July 11th, episode 149. And so we talked to her and she did some past life readings for us, which was really exciting. And this time she's got a new book that's by the time this airs is going to be out. So it's called Turning New Pages. Sorry, I thought I had it in my head and I didn't. So welcome back, Alla. It's really nice for you to join us again.
Thank you. I'm very excited to be invited again and just to be a part of this wonderful group and share what I can with your audience.
Well, thank you. And I was just going to read, you sent us an introduction and I was briefly reading it and it really stuck out to me. So I was just going to read this little bit here. It says, this book is a celebration of life, or to be more precise, lives. Many lives that you, I, and everyone living on this planet here and now lived before in different bodies, sexes, countries, centuries, or epochs. In my view, and after discovering my multiple past lives and relationships, I firmly believe that these past lives deserve to be remembered, acknowledged, and respected. Even if these lives were not famous, affluent, monumental, or powerful, but ordinary, you may ask, why did you write about such a far-fetched topic, or what did you want to convey? I'm happy to share with you and answer your questions. So I thought that would be a nice little lead into talking about what we're going to talk about, and which is your new book. So congratulations on your new book going to the publisher. That's
Thank you.
exciting. So do you want to
Thank
talk
you.
about, I'm assuming that you went further into past lives as in your first book?
Yes, I did. So when I was writing my first book, and even before I was describing later on in the chapter that you were reading, always was curious about my friends. I have, like many people, have long-term friendships. I have some going back to grade school. I have some going from 20, 30 years that I've been friends. And I've always wanted to know who these people were in my past lives. Why I'm stuck with these people, and the other people are just fading away. So what is it about these people that we are together? So when first book was published and it started kind of getting interest, so I decided it's time to start my second book. I selected 13 people. At first it was 11 and then 2 were added later, but original 11 people who were constantly in my life, and I wrote about them. I have to tell you, it was quite a experience. I had no idea. Every time I would delve in, I had no idea where I was going to be. So it was a fascinating ride with some interesting findings and observations.
And so as you were writing this with these different friends of yours, did you convey to them some of the stories as well that you were picking up on for the past lives?
Yes, each of them, after I completed the book, each of them got their own chapter. So there's 11 friends originally, there are 11 chapters, and then I added 2 more people at as I call them, bonus chapters, bonus friends, that were not that long of friends, but I found our relationship very meaningful, and I wanted to know who they were. And what I found out was literally earth-shattering.
Beautiful.
So have you spent many past lives with them, or it kind of depended on the friend, how many past lives, or?
When I started writing, I decided I was going to write about 2 past lives. But as time went on, and it depends. Some people have, I'm sure I have more than 1 past lives with them. But I wrote about some of them 2 lives and some of them 1. So it depends. Because otherwise that book could be blown up like a balloon. Because it was probably would be endless. So I needed to set some boundaries for myself.
Absolutely. Yeah. You don't want a coffee table for a book. You just, yeah. I get that. So what did you find that as you were writing and these past lives were coming to you from your different friends, did you find that it was similar to how they show up in your life this time around?
No.
So can you give us an example of one of them?
I can give an example of one of them. I can give an example of 2. I was so once I selected who I was going to write about. For example, my girlfriend, since we were in 4th grade together, we've been friends ever since. When I started writing about, I had no idea, obviously, what was going to transpire. And then I ended up becoming or seeing a Native American tribe. So she and I were Native Americans, and we were sisters in that lifetime. And she was my younger sister, and I was older. And when we were friends all these years, it felt like, it felt like we were sisters. She and I are closer to each other than she and her sister, her real sister. So that gave me the explanation why we are so close this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
Our children are exactly a year apart. Both children were born in Kiev. They grew up together. They're not friends right now because they don't have probably past lives together, but we do.
Right? But you're still friends.
Yes. Yes. So I was in Native American. I was in Egypt. I was in France. I found myself in Austria, in Russia, in Atlantis. So it's a variety of lives. But the most important was to me when I sent each of them their chapters. Some of them were completely blown away. And I don't want to give away,
No.
but people will read and they will, some of them even identify the building that I was writing about.
Wow.
Wow. That's really cool. Which just shows that connection, right? And I mean, I think that a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I think there is people out there that doubt this, that there is these things such as past lives and, how do we remember and that kind of thing. And I think when you show things like this, and like you're saying, I think it's just truth because you can't make this stuff up especially when you have a collective memory like that on a past life. So I think that that's a really interesting thing.
Yeah. Yes, it's very interesting. Yeah. So I was based on our mutual interest in this lifetime. Like one friend of mine, I love crystals. I have crystals right here near me. I have crystals everywhere in the house. So is she. She loves crystals. We go and shop for crystals together. So when I look at her and my mutual, we have other interests, of course, but crystals is like the most. We love tarot cards. We belong to the same group where we read tarot cards, but crystals kind of more unites us. And when I looked at our life, I ended up being with her in Atlantis, collecting crystals, working with crystals.
Of course.
Of course. Of course.
I always find that interesting with past lives is that it often reflects part of who we are in this lives that we brought. And I remember when you had done the past live reading for me there when we did the one interview, and you had brought up, I believe it was like China or something, and it was like, oh, I could totally understand that. And now it's really funny because more things are coming into my life that like we recently went away and to this retreat, Mom and I, and we learned this qigong, so a Chinese, right?
Yeah, so
Exercise. And so it was like I was so drawn to it, and I was like, oh, wow, obviously there was that pull, right? So I love how all the pieces start fitting together as you figure out some of these past lives.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's so very true. The mine is about Egypt. Everything about Egypt keeps coming to me. So, and you had mentioned that to me as well. So, like it was amazing doing the past life with you. And, from what we've experienced ourselves, other people need to experience it too with you. So I hope they look at your page and get in touch with you to find out about their past lives as well.
That would be very healing for them. I just did recently a couple of readings for people in my group, and Egypt again came up. But what was interesting, before we started reading, she was talking about Egypt and her connection to Egypt, and then the card shows up as a confirmation of what we were just talking about. Sometimes it's so you cannot make this stuff up.
No,
Oh, you can't. And I love the synchronicities with it, because I think not just in the past lives, but I think even in the present lives with the synchronicities that show up in our lives once you start paying attention. And I think, especially when you pull from the past lives like that, you're like, wow, that's cool that, there I was in that past life, and here I am being drawn to these things or places or what have you. And I think that's amazing you got to share that about these people that were so close to you.
Yeah. I want to say something. When I was writing a couple of chapters, as I was writing, and I could not get in touch with the information. Some information was coming easier, and some information I just had a hard time to tap in. And then in the conversation with my higher self says, "Why don't you get the cards?" What cards? Oh, past life cards. You read it for other people. You can read for yourself.
You're like, oh, right, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Well, I already know so many of them. I don't need the cards, but apparently I did. And doing the reading for myself, as I was preparing to write this chapter, I pulled the cards, and once I opened one card, it's like I got the whole information, and then I wrote about it in the chapter.
Ah,
So 2 chapters in the book were written because I could not get any other way, so the information came through the cards.
yeah, just downloaded that way.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
which is
Well,
which is amazing when you're writing,
Yeah.
right? Especially if you're stuck. And I think that's good for people to know too, that there is those tools out there when you do get that writer's block, or you do get that, I don't know if it's trying too hard or we're trying to, and then I would imagine it's frustrating when you get to that level and it's like, why is this not coming, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes, but then once I started writing, I understood where was the block. The information was painful. It was hard to remember, and that's why it was blocking.
right.
Yeah, that does
Like
make
we
sense.
all block bad memories. We don't want to remember. So
That's true. We sure do that. And we do it well too as people.
yeah.
So it's nice when somebody like yourself can come back and help us to find out where we were in another life, to understand how we associate what we do in this life with what we did back then. And why it's so important to even get rid of some of the things from the past that weren't so good, by knowing that they were there, so that you can move on and make your life just happy from here on in, you know, because some things aren't that great from the past, but some are wonderful, you know.
Yes, and what also writing about one specific relationship, one friendship, which when I came to the end of the chapter already had nothing to do with her. It had to do with me, and it had to do with my chronic breathing issue that I described in my first book in several chapters. And I knew that it was not resolved yet, because even after I wrote about those lives where I had issues with my lungs, I knew it was not enough. So in this book, writing this particular chapter, it was so, I cannot even explain to you. I started feeling sick. It was Saturday evening. I was writing, and my shoulder started hurting, and I thought that I was having a heart attack. It was so interesting. So I went for the medication, and it did not go away. I was even afraid to go to sleep, because what if I'm gonna die? Those thoughts were crossing my mind. And then when I woke up in the morning, I started feeling a little better. And when I started continue writing that chapter, I found out what happened to me in that past life, in that past life. And once I found out, the pain went away, and the shortness of breath definitely diminished. It did not go completely away, but it diminished, only because if I did not write about her and did not write about that relationship, I would never know.
Yeah.
So we can, by going into past life memories, we can eliminate or heal some even physical conditions that are continue pursuing us or chasing us in this lifetime that we have to deal with.
So would it be possible to do, like, if you had a friend in person, and I don't know if you talk about this in your book or not, but would it be possible if you and your friend were in a room together to past life journey together, like in a meditation of sorts?
I had this experience before, but that was long before I had I wrote this book. We listened to the meditation together, and we ended up in the same place doing the same thing together. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's amazing. Because I think some people are just way more connected than other people. And I think,
Agree.
yeah, I think you could journey that way. But I think that's amazing too, that you were talking about with the pain in your shoulder and stuff and your breathing, because I feel like, yeah, there is stuff we can learn from our past lives, that we've carried that trauma with us, like on an ancestral level, to be able to heal in this life. So I think that's really good. And I think people get that from your book when you're talking about some of this different stuff of these connections.
Yeah, sure does. With you healing yourself, there is real proof that you can do that, you know, and that's beautiful.
Yes, it really was. If I was, again, like going back to the same phrase, you can't make this stuff up. I could not make this stuff up.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and it's nice too, because you've branched out in this way, and I think people are going to enjoy. I'm looking forward to it, and I'm sure Mom is as well, of reading it, because I think when you deal with friends or people that you're really close with, it's really interesting to see how your lives intermingled in past, it's like family and things like that. And I think it's great that you're touching on this, because I feel like as people are reading it, they're going to be like, oh, hey, what about my friend? Or get visions themselves as someone they're close to.
Yeah. Or they can look at their own are their own hobbies or what they love to do in this lifetime, and that and find the connection to the past life. That would be very fascinating. And each of us is different. At the same time, we're all the same. That I found interesting. I love gardening, so I found connection with gardening with a friend who loves gardening. Or this, it's just multiple findings that I was able to do by writing this book.
Well, it sounds like you got the downloads and you were able to do this, and I think that's amazing. And I'm certain that you've probably got another 2, 3 books inside of you that are just brewing up. Like that's my feeling as we're all talking here. Is it's like I can just see like there's all there's just like we got like 3 or 4 more books for her to do. So
Well,
She's not
now
done
about
yet.
3 or 4, but 2 or 3 yet.
Yeah. Well, I think there's so many avenues you can go down with past lives because I think that, we have our family and we have our friends, we have our, animals if people have them in there.
No family.
No
No
family.
family. No family. And I'll tell you why. People who were, this book has much different energy because I was writing about my friends, and the epilogue that you're gonna read later on, I use quotes, and one of the quotes is, "Friends are the family we choose."
Yes, 100%.
We do not. We enjoy these people. These people came with us to support, so we can support each other, so we can learn from each other, so we can have good time together. This is different. Families are usually it's a karmic. Those are also karmic relationships, but those are positive karmic relationships. Family usually we come to learn some kind of harsher lessons.
Yeah.
Therefore, at least I am not writing anything anytime soon about the family, but definitely pets, definitely animals, because I have a lot of them, and over the years I had quite a few of them, and I think that's going to be a gorgeous children's book.
Ah,
Oh,
yeah.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be very nice because yeah, I think, as we have pets in our lives, we do get so connected to them. And I do believe that I don't know about every pet that we have, but I do believe there is some really special ones in our lives that really do stand out that really did come from some other lives with us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I wrote about this in my first book. I wrote about my dog,
Yeah.
who I found out in the other life was a horse.
Quite a change.
Yes. Yes, it changed, but he ended up at my house anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's
Century
nice.
later.
Yeah. And it's nice too, because when you do these past lives, especially with your friends, I think that's really, I love the concept of it because I feel like it's like you find these commonalities that you had and why you've brought back into each other's lives over and over again to, live them out. And I think that's great because I feel like then it gives you something to look forward to the future. I mean,
Yes. And I would like to explore because I only took certain people, but I have many more that I could tap into and find out about it. So, but it's maybe not as close circle of friends, but there are still a lot of people who I would like to learn and know as we became friends, maybe later on in life, or even some people who I've been friends in childhood and then they kind of faded away. It's just the distance and everything, timing. But there are a lot of options that I can see how I can apply my knowledge and my expertise in past lives to exploring more.
so if somebody wanted to tap in with a friend of theirs, is there something that you would suggest to them to try to do, or should they just try to do it on their own? Or what would you think is the best with that? Or when they read your new book, will they just all of a sudden start getting some downloads of their own?
That could be very possible too, but it depends how people are advanced in their spiritual development. That not everyone is buying into the concept of past lives. But I think more and more people are now open to their spiritual experiences, to spirituality. Unlike it was 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, when I started my journey, I used to say I went out of the closet. When I first uttered the words that I am in the school of spiritual psychology, spiritual psycho, what's that?
Yeah. Well, and people didn't understand back then. Like you said, like people are becoming more and more, I think it's everywhere now too, right? So it's more socially acceptable to, open our minds to things like that. And I think it's great that like yourself are writing books and other people are writing these books and bringing out these cards about things like that, because it's keeping our mind open to tap into that.
Yeah. Yes, and it's important because every time one person heals an issue, we all heal the issue. It is for everyone. So even what we're talking about right now, that will spark somebody's interest who is listening, and they will go even before the book is published. They can go and look at my first book.
Mm-hmm.
They will get a lot of information with more hands-on what to do.
Right.
Like forgiveness, for example, the judgments and everything, which I don't have in this book, because this is more light-hearted book. I'm writing about the friends.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And that's good too, because we need those lighthearted books, right? I feel like there's been a lot of chaos in the last couple of years. And so having those lighthearted books like that still give you the knowledge, but are a nice, fun read are good too. We need those.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Yes.
Some of the lighthearted books too that we read sometimes can really spur things into us to make us think about other things, because our mind then becomes so I guess at ease to go there and journey into those places to find out about ourselves, and you're right, the more we find out about ourselves, it's like, whoa, I didn't expect that to be part of what I am about, but now it makes sense, right? And that's what you're trying to say with your book, is that it makes sense once we start looking into our past life, what we're doing at the present, and how we can change things in our life because of what happened in the past. How many years would you say you went back? How long in time could you tell that?
Well, Atlantis, that's been far away.
Whoa.
Atlantis, Lemuria.
Okay. So that's
ancient Egypt. That was after Lemuria and Atlantis, but still ancient Egypt. Yeah, I think that would be the oldest lifetimes that I remembered.
Wow.
But it means that these people were with me
For a long time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is
And who knows?
Nice.
Who knows? I only decided, like I said, I needed to set boundaries. So it's okay, one lifetime, or the most is two.
Yeah.
But who knows how many more times I could go and explore more. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, but at least I have one point that we met, we intersected.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you were writing, did you have any that were like more of a recent past life that you had shared together?
Not with these people. Possibly again, I don't know, but again, I had to stop somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Sometime.
Yeah. If you only give me so much. Yeah, no. And I think when you, and perhaps that too is like it's your foundation of your friendship and going back. And I loved how you said too that, right, when we heal those traumas, we heal so many more people's traumas. I absolutely love that because I think that's so true. And I think that's why this is such important work that you're doing and sharing out with everybody.
Well, thank
Absolutely.
you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Yes. And my friends, each of them individually got a special gift because otherwise they would never know.
That's right. That's
Right.
right.
Yeah. So they all read about themselves, and whether they believed it or not, some of them probably who are not as spiritually advanced, and people who are more spiritually advanced, of course, they, like I said, they even remember the building that they knew from this lifetime.
Wow.
So you said you traveled to all these different places in the book this time, and were they all different past life experiences, or was some of them intermingled with the other ones? Like, how did that work for the past lives? So was it individual or not?
It was individual.
Okay, wow. So you were all over the place then.
I was. I was. Even in this lifetime, all over the place, being born in the Soviet Union and coming here in the United States and live another half of my life here. It is all over the place.
Wow.
It is, and all these experiences that you are. So obviously you've always been a traveler in your life, right? Travel from here to there.
Right.
And that's like my mother, because she's very much a gypsy in this life. So I would imagine that in her past lives, she was very much that way as well. So
Yes. Thanks, Kim.
You know, it looks like I need to turn on the light because it seems to me that it's getting darker outside.
oh
Yeah, it's getting
Can you
darker,
just
same.
there, now you're brighter.
Yes,
This is good, right?
much brighter.
Yes, yes. Well, it's like coming out from the past of the dark and into the light
That's right,
now.
from dark to light. Literally.
Literally, yeah. And I think that, which actually makes me think funny that we say that, because I think from the past lives, it is like coming into the light because you're like, oh, I didn't know all these experiences and how important they are to the story that I have and this life that I'm living. So that just come to me when we were talking about it. So,
That's great, though. That means
But
it's a
this is a
fuller
great
life.
analogy. That is a great analogy. So it's happened. Funny that it happened during our interview.
yeah,
From dark to light.
right.
You can even call it
From dark to
from
light.
dark to light.
There you go. Perfect. I'm always looking for titles, so
Now we made it up.
right? Perfect. And all together. So how wonderful is this? Because yeah, I just like I think we both really love talking to you about this because there's just so much that I don't know. It just, for me, it's like, where could I go in my mind to do a past life? Like I was trying to do one the other day. Denise Lynn was on and she was doing a past life exercise. And so I was trying to do it, but I was at work. So I was kind of listening to it in the background. It's not like you can be at work and be like
Right.
in the office, right? So I'm
Some
like,
can, some
okay,
can.
maybe she'll do a replay and I can pick it up.
Yeah,
So it always
Denise Lynn is
fascinates me.
great.
Yeah, she is.
You know, I was certified by her.
Oh, were
Oh,
you?
really? Isn't that that's not a coincidence?
Little coincidence, yes.
That's
Wow.
amazing. Yeah, she's quite good at what she teaches. So I see that it has spread into you and that, when you're tapping into this. And I think that that's a great thing. And I love that you teach about it and talk about it. And, that's a wonderful thing.
Speaking about Denise Lynn, we're just giving her a plug. What I learned from her was I actually implemented in one of the chapters. What she's talking about, we don't have to be stuck on the unpleasant ending of that lifetime. We can change because everything is here and now anyway. So we can change the trajectory of that life and change it to positive. I was writing a chapter, and that about a friend of mine and myself, and it was Ireland. And she and I were two sisters, very, very different, very difficult circumstances. And it was supposed to be very sad ending. And then I listened to Denise Lynn, to her training, and she said, you don't have to do it. You can change the trajectory. You can do this. And this is what I did. And the chapter, the whole thing, it became so different. So and then what Denise Lynn is talking about, and if you heard her, she is talking about.
I heard just a little bit about that, so that was the part I caught, and I was actually going to ask you about that.
It's not only changing our lives, it's changing other people who are involved, and she has great stories that I'm not going to go into them. But I used it, and it was remarkable.
And I think that's an important thing. And I was actually going to ask you about that, because that was about the only thing that I kind of caught out of it, because was that you could change your past lives. And I thought, oh, or not change, but you can change it from being traumatic, and you can.
Yes, you can change the ending.
Yeah.
The traumatic ending. We don't have to carry on that pain, that misery, that torture some of us. We don't need to. We can change it, and that's why book became lighthearted instead of being heavy.
And I like
some
that.
cases, I changed.
Yeah, it's nice. It's really good.
We create our own reality, right? Why we should create better, not bitter.
100%. That is so true. And I love that you talk about that. And I love that you talk about how you incorporated that into your book, because it gives people examples of, we do have these options in our life to change our current lives and our past lives for some of that trauma, right? To keep carrying with us.
Yes, and even the future. Maybe the next book is, or one of the books, going to be about future lives.
That'd be cool.
I don't know if you know about Brian Weiss. He wrote a book about future lives. I think it's same soul, different bodies, or something like. I have this book. Yeah, there's a book about future lives. So I may want to look at this in the future.
Well, and I believe if you can see the past, you could see the future, right?
Yeah, why not? Why not?
All happens at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like us living, and then we're living, I somewhat believe that as we're living these parallel lives too, right? And so, it's just, it's in all of that is, for me, is interesting, because I feel like it all ties in together.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I just had an image of a box, like a mystery box, or a box that people get for Christmas. You open up, you have no idea. You untie the ball, you have no idea what's inside.
Yeah. And
the
it's
mystery,
a gift.
the mystery box. And it's a gift.
It is a gift. That's
maybe it's the books, or maybe it's the name for my next book, The Mystery Box.
There you go. You'll be quickly writing it down when we're all done here. I find it just amazing how different things come, and I'm in my own personal life right now. So it'd be interesting to do a past life meditation because I'm having a lot of synchronicities in this current life. So it's like, wonder how that ties into a past life or into my future life or, those kind of things. So I think I love this conversation. It's amazing.
It is. It is.
So if you had one final thought to leave with everyone, what would it be?
Well, the words just came up for me as you were asking me the question. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to look into your past life. It's really not scary. If you have a desire and if you have a desire to open your mind to more experiences and travel within yourself without buying a ticket somewhere and getting on a plane or elsewhere, just don't be afraid to explore. You will find a lot of surprises.
Perfect. I love that. So,
Yeah.
and can you tell everyone where to find you?
You can find me on my website. It is my first name and last name together. It's Alla Kaluzhny at allakaluzhny.com. You can email me at my allakaluzhny@gmail.com.
Hey, perfect.
If you have any questions or if you would like to reading, then if you email me, we can set up a reading about your past lives and find out who you were before and how it affects your current life and what you needed to learn when you come here.
Perfect. Well, we'll put those in the show notes for everybody, and we're hoping to at some point maybe move to some stuff on YouTube where we're doing it live and we can actually have people call in or whatever, comment on YouTube. And then so maybe we can have you back and we can share something like that and you can.
Oh, that would be awesome. We can do a reading with your listeners, with your audience.
It'd
We
be
can do a
fun.
couple of readings.
Be
Yeah,
fun.
that would be amazing.
I'd like to add here that Alla did some past life for both Kim and I. I know we mentioned it on this, but it was amazing. So if you're looking to have a past life being read, please look Alla up because the information you're going to get back is going to just blow your mind. So as she did ours.
Yes, yes.
Thank you. I appreciate your kind words. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well,
You're welcome.
yes,
And thank
yeah.
you.
I second what you said. Thank you for so thank you so much for sharing space with us again. We love having you on and we're looking forward to your new book coming out. Like I say, by the time that this is airing, it'll be out. So I'll be able to throw that in the show notes too of where you can get the book and make sure you're tuning in and following along with us so you don't miss out on these things. And thank you
Exactly.
again for joining with us.
Well,
Thank you.
I enjoyed this time together and looking forward always to come back and talk with you, have good laughs, and enjoy our time together.
Thank
Perfect.
you. Thank you
Thank you
so
so
much,
much.
Alla.
And everybody else, tune into the next one.
Please do.